All right, well, welcome to premarital counseling.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. You guys getting excited about the wedding?
Yeah, just a few weeks away.
Yeah, it's meaningless.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
Your wedding, it has nothing to do with the success of your relationship.
We should uninvite him.
I'm not going to say it's a waste of $20,000, unless, of course, you get divorced a few years later, which 50% of people do, so your marriage is practically a coin flip. Look, I've got one right here. What do you think it's going to be?
I hope it's not tails, because we already put that deposit down.
Here's the point in all this. People love spending countless hours thinking about and planning their wedding. They spend almost no time actually figuring out what it takes to stay married after they have one.
Boy, I bet you're really fun at parties.
The sad truth is, you most likely had terrible models of what love and selflessness actually look like growing up. Maybe your parents were emotionally distant, or they taught you to believe that you need to earn love through people-pleasing or performance. And there's a strong chance that you're both coming into this thing packed full of destructive and toxic behaviors that you're not even aware of.
Well, I do have a master's degree.
Your IQ has nothing to do with your EQ.
I don't think I have either of those.
So here's my question for both of you. What are you going to do that's any different from all those other people that got divorced or got stuck in an unfulfilling, unhealthy marriage?
Well, I think what separates us is that we're in love.
Wrong. Everyone's in love on their wedding day. Do you know why 50% of those marriages fail? Because they didn't know what love required of them. Service, selflessness, sacrifice, not one-sided, mutual. They didn't have a plan for how to get things right, and they didn't have a plan for what to do when things got hard and stressful, which they always do eventually. Do you have a plan?
I think our plan is to just not have conflict. Good one, babe.
Right. See, on the surface, that sounds like a good idea, except that's usually a sign of past trauma manifesting itself as a subconscious avoidance of vulnerability because it triggers our fear of abandonment or rejection.
Huh.
Tony, did you say something?
No, I did not.
From what I've seen, relationships with absolutely no conflict are superficial and shallow and have no depth to them. And at least one partner is terrified to actually be honest about how they are feeling. So because of their fear of abandonment, they end up abandoning themselves, which only leads to resentment and bitterness.
That doesn't sound like the best option.
It's not. So let's make this simple. Relationships only work when both people are putting in the work. Get emotionally lazy, this thing falls apart. Put work or hobbies ahead of your partner, this thing falls apart. Refuse to intentionally prioritize what any relationship needs to survive: intimacy, trust, affection, communication, vulnerability, emotional connection.
Me?
It falls apart.
It falls apart. Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say.
You want this thing to have a chance at surviving? Create a culture of emotional safety where you actually want your partner to be honest about what they need and how they feel. Let's learn how to bring things up without passive aggressiveness or criticism or blaming them for how we feel, but let's also learn how to accept someone's feelings and not immediately get defensive or feel attacked or invalidate them. Her telling you that you unintentionally hurt her or that she's feeling neglected and she would love for you to prioritize her in a new way isn't her not accepting you. She's not calling you a failure. She's giving you information about how she feels loved and valued. Because she's an equal in this relationship. You are not the judge of her feelings. If you don't care about how she's feeling, you don't care about her. You want to know what kills relationships? A lack of vulnerability. You can't be vulnerable because you're terrified that they won't love you if you do. You can't be vulnerable because you're not even in touch with how you're feeling. You can't be vulnerable because people have told you your whole life that you're not lovable or worthy of kindness and respect and consideration. Let me tell you right now, you are. You are lovable. Any conflict you have, I want to make sure that that's at the forefront of your mind. What separates marriages from divorce is your ability to have conflict without hurting each other in the process with your words and actions and reactions. It's possible, and not just possible, it's vital. I can promise you there is no point in even getting married if you aren't going to create an environment of safety and honesty and love. Don't expect me to spoon feed all of this to you. Pretend like it's important to you. Read a book together. Start with this one, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman. Make it a goal to find ways to respect and honor each other every day. Look out for ways to appreciate each other, prioritize each other. Never get lazy when it comes to affection, non-sexual or sexual. Never get lazy when it comes to playfulness and dates and alone time and flirting. Can you imagine a marriage where both people actually had a desire to serve each other? It's possible, and the results are amazing as you think. So keep short accounts. Check in with each other. Refuse to let any resentment build. Ask, how's it going? How are you feeling? Is there anything on your heart? How's your stress? How's your anxiety? Are there any burdens that I can take off your back? because that's what love does. This is our person. Let's act like they are valuable to us. Ask her, do you feel neglected? Do you know which husbands ask that? The successful ones. It's very rare that a marriage fails when both people are consistently asking each other, how can we work together to get both of our needs met in this relationship? Few relationships end due to both partners prioritizing appreciation and intimacy and respect and vulnerability and consideration and validation and selflessness. Millions of marriages die due to a lack of those things, don't they? Don't let that be you. Because I can tell you from personal experience, there is literally no point in getting married if you or your partner isn't committed and devoted to all of this stuff. Not perfectly, just intentionally and purposefully. Treat this thing as important as your job or your hobbies, because faithfulness is not simply not cheating on your partner. It's protecting and valuing your partner and this relationship enough to practice humility and empathy and selflessness and listening. You find me two people who want to learn about that stuff, and I'll find you a couple who's still thriving years after everyone else is on their second divorce. Now let's go out there and get married.